Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So today we are looking at creative stamping. This is issue 96. So the free gifts that we get included in this month's issue. So we've got two stamp sets. We've got this first A4 size. This is called Summer Escapes, and this is jam-packed with lots of scene building stamps. So you've got being by the seaside, you've got maybe by a lake, having a picnic, reading a book, maybe under the tree, and this has got some really lovely sentiments in here as well. Of course, you've got your happy birthday and your happy retirement. Enjoy your day is a really good sentiment as well. So we have these two here, which I really love. So we've got, we do not remember days, we remember moments, and memories are meant to be made, not forgotten. So I think that's a really great, perfect for everything that we've gone through over the last sort of 12 months or so. And yeah, I just think a really sort of great kind of sentiment. And I'm really looking forward to creating a page in our journal with this particular set. And then along with this, we have got these two stamps by Crafty Individuals. So we've got this one here, which kind of looks like a frame, and you've got sort of two children kind of walking away. And then you've got these two people here with their dog. I absolutely love this because this is going to be perfect, as you guys may know if you've seen the post that I put on my community page. We have recently just bought a puppy, so very busy. She's keeping us very busy. But I think that's just so lovely because, you know, we could, you know, I could make a card for my partner, and I just think that's going to be so lovely. And I do have a scrapbook as well that I started making when we first got together. And this is just going to be a lovely little image to add onto the page for our little puppy Myrtle. So yeah, a really great stamp set, I think, there. Let's take a quick look in the magazine at the inspiration. So again, this is issue 96. So the first bit of inspiration we come to, this has been titled In the Frame. So you've got how to create a stamped shadow box card. So you've built a scene up then with the palm trees and then that hammock as well, which is really beautiful, lovely for, you know, whether it's going on holiday, retirement, whatever that looks like, maybe moving homes, if someone's moving abroad, that's going to be perfect. We've got easel cards in there. We've got a layered scene. So they've taken that frame from this stamp here, so I'll have to have a look and see if that is separate or whether they've just cut that apart, but really great being able to use that differently. We have then got an aperture card, again using those two people with a little dog, and then we've got this really great border in here as well. So maybe you could use that like a film strip. You might be able to use that as maybe like the top of a notebook, that kind of thing. That might be quite cool. We've also got to Take It Easy. So again, another kind of aperture card here. Retirement, absolutely perfect for that. We've got Emboss Resist masking. Colour block backgrounds, that's pretty cool. Very simple, but I think that's a really great design. And again, just some really easy cards here. So really easy for masculine cards as well, I think, for all of these. Yeah, I think they're just going to be perfect. It's always great being able to use the stamp set for both masculine and more feminine style cards. But yeah, some really perfect cards in here. We've got masked aperture backgrounds. So again, lots of different techniques. So let's have a quick look at what comes included in the next issue of Creative Stampin'. So here we have a free gift which has got the Stampendous company contributing in with that. This is called Beneath the Waves, and this is really cool. So you've got a really great mermaid in here, lots of sort of underwater themed stamps in here. Again, some really great sentiments with different fonts as well. I do like that sort of adding different kind of fonts in here. And you've got the octopus and a couple jellyfish there as well, which is really beautiful. We do get a 5x5 inch embossing folder, which has got these waves on it. I think that's really great. We'll be able to kind of use that for some different kinds of techniques. And then you have got some downloadable papers as well that will follow the theme of this stamp set. So that's the magazine, that's what comes included in the next issue. But for now, let's get started creating a card using our Summer Escapes stamp set. So the first thing I'm going to do before we get started on our card is create a mask. So I want to stamp this image here of the two people with the dog. I don't have a big enough post-it note, so I have taken 4 of my smaller post-it notes. These are fully backed, sticky backed post-it notes. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stamp this onto here, and then I can just reassemble this on my card. Okay, so I've got my mask here, so I'm just going to be really careful with this just so the kind of post-it notes don't come apart. And then I've just got my separate little dog as well. So I'm going to be creating a 5 by 7 inch card because the stamps, you know, are relatively big in size. I thought I would make just that sort of slightly bigger card. And then also sort of looking at our persons as well, you know, again, quite a decent sized stamp sets here. So what I'm going to do is grab my stamping platform, and I want to stamp my people image first. Then we can use our masks we've created, and then we can do a little bit of ink blending behind them. I'm going to use again my Memento Tuxedo black ink because I will colour these in using some alcohol markers when we get to that point. So just some really nice even pressure. Such a lovely stamp, and you've got so much detail in there as well that you don't need to probably spend a lot of time colouring these in because you've got a lot of that detail in there, a lot of the shading and things, so it's going to make it super easy. Okay, so I've left this to one side just to let that ink dry. Now we can come in with our mask. So it doesn't matter too much that it's not perfect, because like I said before, we're going to be doing a little bit of ink blending for the background, and then we are going to be using the alcohol markers to colour this in. Okay. So what I might do is just cut that a little bit just so that sits down nicely. Then we've got our dog mask as well. So we've got our mask on. So I've picked up 2 colours from the Distress Oxide range. We've got Twisted Citron and we've got Tumbled Glass. So we're just going to do a quick little bit of ink blending here. So I've got the Twisted Citron just for the sort of grass portion. So it doesn't have to be, you know, like I said, too perfect either, because like I said, I will be covering kind of this top section, and that's what I really like about doing skies is I'm never too worried about getting like I said, that perfect kind of blend. I'm not sure how much of that you can sort of pick up on camera. Normally if you would ink blended sort of like this, you might not be too happy with it because it is a little bit splotchy, but like I said, for a sky, I think it gives a really subtle look to it being sort of a really cloudy kind of sky. So, you know, I'm quite happy to have it like that. Okay, so now we have got our background blended. I'm just going to take up our masks nice and carefully because I do want to keep these with the stamp set itself. So if I want to mask these images off again, I don't have to create new masks each time. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave that as it is just for the time being because I want to work on this section at the top. So what I want to create is a scene. So we've got our two people and their dog here. They're just walking along and I want to have almost like a memory bubble or like a thought bubble at the top here, which then we can build a scene in using the rest of our stamps. So we can create a beach scene, we can create like a picnic kind of scene, and then I'm going to use the sentiment. It's either going to be one of these two. I'm not 100% sure at the moment because I'm not sure what scene I'm going to be building. So I'll decide that sort of towards the end, but that's kind of what I want to do. Though I've got this really nice big space up here to create kind of that scene bubble. And what I'm going to be using is the Torn Edge nesting dies. So I thought this would add just a nice little detail being the torn edge rather than the kind of a straight edge. So it is going to kind of come off the side, but I want to make sure that I kind of get sort of a decent size really. I've got a piece of cardstock here. So this is just, I think it's 120 or 160 GSM. So I'm just going to add a little bit of washi tape just to hold this in place. And I'm just going to die cut then the largest of these torn edge nesting dies. So I want to sort of get some of this torn edge kind of detail in here. So what I'm going to do is sort of roughly put this in place, because I really need to know sort of what sort of size I am working with. So let's just pop a little bit of tape on the back of there just to hold this in place, and I'm actually going to cut this down. So I don't want it to be kind of too close to the head. And there we have our piece for the scene. So like I said, then I can just pop this straight back into place when I'm finished. Okay, so I'm going to leave this bit to one side, and then we can get started creating a scene with our other stamps. So what I really need to work out is what's going to kind of fit on here. So of course you do have these palm trees, which would work quite nicely. Obviously you don't have to have them sort of in full frame, but yeah, I think that's actually going to work really lovely. So I was thinking about creating a picnic scene, but I think I might actually just create something a little bit happier and have that be then, yeah, a really lovely sort of a seaside theme. So I definitely want to have this palm tree. So I'm going to have to just move this around after I've stamped it, just because a lot of these are going to be coming off the image. So I'm going to have it sort of at the top as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this corner up with the 3-inch mark, just in case it moves and I need to re-stamp this again. So let's have that one just coming in there. And again, I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Let's ink that up. Just like so. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I've actually changed my mind of what I'm gonna do. So I don't know if anyone else is like that. I will sort of start off with a vague idea of what it is that I want to create, and then just as I go along, it just completely changes. I don't know if anybody else crafts like that, or if that is just me. But what I've done is, so I've decided to stamp this kind of C stamp here instead of the hammock. So I've just created 2 masks for my palm trees. But what I have realised is actually the most important bit was sort of having the trunks kind of covered. And I just absolutely missed that bit off. So we've got that masked off. So let's bring in our stamp, so we can get that back in our stamping platform. Then I'm going to bring in this stamp here, so I might just bring it up as much as possible, just like so. So that is cool. So what we can do now is take off our masks. And again, then I'm going to keep these as well. Pop them back in with our stamp set to use it for the next time that we want, again, like I said, want to create a scene. Let's just take up this one. And there we have sort of our scene really nicely coming together. So I'm now going to use some alcohol markers. So I've got my Prism craft markers that I'm trying to just sort of get used to. So we're going to use these to colour in this scene. So I'm going to play some music just while I do this, and I'll just speed it up a little bit, and then we can create this really lovely scene. Okay, so there is our finished scene. So I've just created a really beautiful kind of sunset. So we could have brought the sun down a little bit more, but I really wanted to kind of have it up there to have some of that really beautiful sort of yellows into oranges into reds, then sort of nearer the bottom. So if we bring our card back, so you can see then this is going to go just up there like that. We are going to raise it onto some foam pads. Okay, so there we have kind of our scene. What I want to do now is just colour in our people. We're going to do something really, really basic here. Okay, so there we have our people coloured in. We do then have our scene as well. So let's get this on with some foam tape, because we do want this to kind of stand up. Okay, so we have our scene. So again, just a small amount of dimension there. So unfortunately, the dies, these circle dies don't really go this small, because what I want is sort of like the little dots that go into kind of the thought bubble or the speech bubble. Okay, so I've got these 3 little dots here. I've just used some of the alcohol markers just to colour these in. I've added a little bit of tape pen kind of just to the back, and hopefully this is going to look like the little bubbles going up into then this sort of thought bubble. That kind of looks how I want it to kind of look. So again, they're kind of walking off into the distance, and they are thinking about this lovely sort of seaside sunset. So that's kind of all I really wanted to do for the card. I think I'm going to add just some white highlights onto this, just to kind of add just a little bit more detail. Let's just add some there. So I'm not really kind of too worried how sort of accurate they are. Let's do a little bit on the sun. You know, I just kind of add it where I think it will sort of look nice. Let's just do some sort of highlights. Just do some kind of highlights there as well. So now we can add this onto a card base, and then we can pick out the sentiment we want to use. Okay, so let's add our panel to our card base. Okay, just like so. So now we're going to add our sentiment. Okay, so I'm going to heat emboss our sentiment. So I've picked we do not remember days, we remember moments, because I like that it's a more square kind of sentiment, and I think it's going to sort of sit really nicely just in the corner of our card here. So I'm going to pop that into my stamping platform. I'm going to use the anti-static powder bag just so the embossing powder doesn't stick anywhere we don't want it to. Let's use our Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink. So I'm going to get a piece of scrap cardstock, and we're using the Fine Detail White embossing powder by Simon Says Stamp. So that looks good. We just need one coat of that. So there we have our heat emboss sentiment. So this has cooled, and I'm just going to trim this down. So what I would like to have done, but unfortunately I don't have any, is the torn edge square nesting dies would have been perfect. I did try the rectangles, but they're obviously just too big. The squares would have been perfect, and I would have fitted in them with that torn edge detail from the circle. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm just going to round, just to give it a little bit more interest, just two opposite corners, just like so. Let's bring our card back. So let's just add some thin foam tape to that. And then let's line that up with the sort of edge of our panel. And that is then going to be our card finished for today. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think. This was using Creative Stampin', and the free gift was called Summer Escapes. So if you did like this video and you like this card, then please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so you don't miss out on any future videos. So that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting.